And now on our stage, stage one, we have our first panel. It is called From Market Leader to Market Shaper. It's with Christian Bubenheim of Scout24, Alexander Schwarz, Airbnb, and Philipp Erler of Zalando. Welcome the host of this panel, as Mark said, the old Frank Schmierchen. Now he's going to kill me. No.
What?
Mark said that. I'm just copying.
Did he really?
He paid me to say that.
Oh, I mean, I love my CEO, Mark, but I'm experienced. I mean, so good to be here. So good that you are here. It's great to be at the HEUREKA this year. I have a wonderful panel for you. The title is From Market Leader to Market Shaper. And I have three wonderful gentlemen with me on stage. Give a warm applause for Alexander Schwarz from Airbnb. Welcome. Maybe it's best if you introduce yourself. What do you do at Airbnb?
Yeah, so thanks for having me. I'm the general manager for Airbnb, Germany, Austria, and Switzerland. Joined Airbnb just a year ago. Have had a longer track record in PayPal and eBay before. And so I'm very happy to be able to speak with you today.
Okay. Next, warm applause for Christian Bubenheim from Scout24. Hi, Christian.
Hello.
Can you introduce yourself? What do you do at Scout?
I wonder that sometimes every single day. So Christian Bubenheim, I'm with Scout, responsible for the Auto Scout part. Who knows Auto Scout? Immobilien Scout. So it's part of a big group called Scout AG. And Auto Scout is basically the largest automotive marketplace for online car transactions in Europe.
Thank you. Last but not least, from Zalando, Senior Vice President Philipp Erler. Hi, Philipp.
Hi.
How are you doing?
Hi.
A couple of words. What are you doing?
Yeah, I'm Philipp. I'm taking care of tech with Zalando, and now with the transformation into a platform, I'm gradually more moving into a product role.
Okay, first question goes to you all. You have achieved of what all entrepreneurs here in the room and startups dream of. You are leaders in your markets. So we all want to know, how did you do that? Maybe you start.
So basically, I joined a year ago, but our founders and the early team, they basically came across a problem that needed to be solved. So the founders had a flat that they couldn't afford to rent anymore, and so they needed to boost their financial capabilities. And so they came up with the idea of Airbnb, but that was just the financial solving a problem. They very soon became aware that there's a much stronger need for travelers to travel more authentically, and that was the key problem that they solved ever since then, and that we're still solving. So we're optimizing for experience and for new ways to travel more authentically.
What was the trick?
I'm not sure if there was one trick. So Scout started as a lot of different startups, Auto, Immo, and then there were other ones that basically thought about search in a very directed way. Then they came together, Scout Group was formed, and I think the trick is now to continue on that success. Getting classifieds online is no longer really the big magic. So understanding the consumer, understanding the journey, where's connections, what happens if somebody looks for a property, is there a car transaction involved? Really bringing that together intelligently, I think that's the trick, reinventing ourselves.
And you actually do that?
I think we're on a good way to do it, yeah.
Okay. And you, Philipp?
Yeah, for Zalando, I think it's a combination. I spoke to Lorenz Aschoff of IAM the other week, and he nailed it quite well. It's coming up with the right ideas very early, and that's in the end luck and some understanding, and then iterate relentlessly. Measure, understand your numbers, and iterate until everything's fine. And you'll see lots of moments in between that suck. That's basically it. You have to relentlessly iterate over these sucking moments.
But what was the initial idea of Zalando?
selling flip-flops.
Selling flip-flops.
Yeah, revolutionary.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Selling flip-flops online.
Yeah, revolutionary.
I have to think about that, okay. Next question. In the beginning of a startup, there's a lot of energy and power. And do you feel there's still this kind of energy and power in Zalando?
As a company, I think we're more or less in our third phase at the moment. So we've had the startup phase where we had all this energy and the power, and then we had the dreading years preparing for the IPO. 2013 and 14 were culturally quite difficult because you need to really nail the processes, need to streamline everything. That was a very hard time, and we lost lots of great people over that. We've now, since about 2 years, changed again into a mode where this energy is again there, where being entrepreneurial is really broken down to the teams, and a large share of the people who lost us actually came back. So it's, I guess, the best measure for being successful with that. But there are phases, and if you want to retain this in a really large company, you just, as management, you have to give up. As founders, you have to allow for things that you don't like, because the people on the teams believe in that, and they want to be entrepreneurial. And over time, there's lots of great ideas coming out of that.
Okay. Do you still have this energy in Scout 24?
So it would be simple to say like, yes, rah-rah, we have it, but the company is 1,200 people big, more than 15 years old, so there's phases, right? And you go through them. And when most of the management team joined roughly 18 months ago, it was clear that the company needed a jolt of energy. That culture had no longer been like, as sharp as on the edges as we needed to be. So I think creating the environment is important. It's about a culture. It's about how do people think and feel. Do they take ownership or just do their job? I think that's one what we are making increasingly progress on, making it very international. It really helps, making sure it's not just all the same people doing the same things. And it really rewarding, as you said as well, Philipp, rewarding entrepreneurial ideas, letting people run with it. And not telling them like you should be correct, which is very German. Like you need to be correct. You should not fail. Failing is bad. But allowing them to fail, making mistakes. Okay, fine. Well, we learned. Making that basically almost like a habit. I think that's where fun comes back, and then the energy and the passion comes back.
It's really allowed to make mistakes at Scout 24?
Yep.
Yeah.
And we do a lot of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One example, please.
Product launches are usually a tricky one, right? We have, so in 2 minutes, we have a product that allows to completely do an online sales transaction for a car. We said we need to have a big decision page. There was an A/B test set up. 4 weeks, we want to show that, and the numbers just tanked.
Oh my God.
So the team stopped the test after 2 weeks. They're like, this is bad. We completely messed it up. It was a retro, and we figured it out, and now it's basically running in a new way, and nobody gets blamed or gets shot.
Congratulations, great. How about Airbnb?
Yeah, certainly, we invest a lot into 3 pillars, I would say. One is maintaining a high growth rate, so innovation. Secondly, a lot into community, because that's the key of our success. Is really our community is our partners. And thirdly, in people and culture. And so there are numerous events around meeting our community, which are our partners, like the Airbnb Open. We had the last Airbnb Open in Paris, where 5,000 hosts attended from 110 regions in the world, as well as people inside the team meeting globally on a physical base in one Airbnb, which we call the kind of global gathering. But really reinvesting into the community and into innovation is kind of keeping the growth up and keeping the energy up.
Airbnb is confronted with lots of regulations, especially here in Berlin.
Yep.
So how do you deal with that?
Yeah. So basically, the vast majority of our hosts are sharing the homes in which they live. So we think that those hosts that are sharing a home, the spare space in their apartment, or the apartment while they are away on holiday, they are not taking houses off the market, and housing is the big issue in Berlin. And so what we communicated in November 2015 globally is the Community Compact, which is making clear that we want to work with lawmakers. So we really want to partner with lawmakers in order to seek clear and fair and progressive rules in order to be able to share your home. Because we think that it helps Berliners to stay in their home, and that's why we think we are pretty close to what Berlin wants and lawmakers want. We want homes for Berliners and Berliners to be able to stay in their home. So we have good discussions, and last week we had a press announcement from Brussels coming to support the sharing economy and collaborative economy by giving fair and progressive rules.
But do the lawmakers want to work with you? That's the question.
Well, we obviously knock on a lot of doors, and some doors opening, some other doors open a bit later, but we're on a good track to have fruitful discussions, and we are being heard, and we are confident that there will be very positive news soon.
What do you think of these people in Kreuzberg who tend to, sometimes I think they really hate Airbnb tourists with their rolling suitcases. What do you think of them?
Well, basically, as we think home sharing could even help Kreuzbergers, we believe that you need to kind of differentiate where you really speak about home sharing and where as a professional meeting our platform as well, because obviously we're a platform and some professionals are on a platform as well, but the vast majority really is about home sharing. And so even for Kreuzbergians, this is a great opportunity to get a supplementary income on the biggest block of costs that you have. So housing typically is the biggest block of costs, and a supplementary income to pay bills or to pursue dreams or to stay in your home is nothing better, we think.
Do you think this will create a new kind of Kreuzberg, and Kreuzberg will change?
We can see it changing already, so it's happening, yes.
Okay. So, Christian, Scout24 was one of the inventors of online marketplaces, and you did obviously the right thing at the right time. Do you care about the new technologies of today? For instance, artificial intelligence, Internet of Things, or virtual reality?
Yes, we do, and I think we have to. Some of them are directly applicable. If you think of you want to buy a property that is not close by, where you can just drive to, VR would be a fantastic way to just explore it, go through it, get an idea, where's the sun rising in the morning, how does this thing look like at night, what's the view from the balcony. There's some fantastic technologies that we are actively working with the real estate brokers to say, like, how do you make that available for the mass market? That's one. Connected car in auto would be another one. But I think the most important part, we don't know all of the applications of some of these technologies. So one of the things we are doing is we have a lab called You Is Now, where we basically help accelerate startups that say, like, I have some idea that applies some technology, is a good way of looking into auto or real estate marketplaces. Do we have an opportunity to work on that, and can you help us make that better? We do not take any equity, we just give them workspace, we give them some money, we give them connections, we give them a network, give them some traffic, so they can experiment. And I think that turns out for us to be super important, to get that outside-in perspective. Sometimes at a company of our size, not everything is as fluid. People are busy in the day-to-day work.
Mm-hmm. So the driving force of innovation comes from outside, from startups?
Not only, but also it does, yes. So going outside, like things we're doing today, talking, networking, being present is one. Inviting companies to come in. We do meetups. We have hackathons where we bring in outside companies and say, like, help us to think about this problem. I think that's absolutely critical. Even with 1,200 people that we are, there's always a lot of more intelligence out there than is inside the building, and we find that super helpful. So new technologies, yes. More perspective, bringing that into the company is number two. And then, as I said earlier, having an environment where that can actually happen. If you then go like, okay, that was interesting, now get back to your 90-day planning and shut up, it doesn't really work, right?
Do you work with startups, innovation-wise?
Well, our headquarters in the Silicon Valley, so we are very closely connected to all the startups in that area, but even in Germany, we're trying to be as connected as we can, be it in Berlin or in Hamburg, all the major hubs. So participating in Web Future Award last week in Hamburg, and sure, we are connecting in Berlin as well, so yes.
And what are you looking for which kinds of startups?
Well, basically, there's two things. There's we come from a startup, and it's not long ago that we've been a startup, and so we see ourselves in a position we want to give back to startups. And secondly, obviously, we're looking for the new trends as well, be it VR, which is definitely an interesting experiment as well in order to visualize our inventory, so our listings, and understand what is the listing physically looking like.
Okay, Philipp, there are so many online fashion shops. Do you think it's possible that Zalando will feel kind of outdated and old-fashioned in 2 or 3 years? And what do you do to stay ahead of the rest?
I'm not sure if it's even 2 or 3 years out there. So what we're seeing until now, and it still applies for most of these online shops, you mean, I guess, is that we're still in some kind of early first phase of fashion e-commerce. It's still very list-based, I mean, you're filtering something, you're searching for something. It's not really inspirational. It's not really, especially fashion e-commerce is not, at the moment, not really replacing or giving you the same feel as offline commerce, or especially in retail, where it's more a happening, where you enjoy the Saturday morning or something like that. And that's, someone will come up with a way of doing that. We, of course, invest quite a lot into making sure that our powerhouse, the fashion store, is the someone. Lots of people working on that, lots of very different concepts. But for sure, if we wouldn't do that, then someone else would disrupt us, rather sooner than later. I don't think it's through, 2 or 3 years. It'll happen quickly.
Do you see somebody out there?
I mean, there are lots of different concepts that are more niche-based, so where it's really inspirational, it's really lots of fun, but none of these concepts have really figured out how to scale well, and that's something that's always quite difficult in a concept where it's like really personal, where it's not just personalized in terms of what you show, but also how things work, what kind of content you show, how this content is tailored. Airbnb is doing great work there, investing quite a lot, but the team's also quite big. It's also not something a small team can easily replicate. I believe that's where this industry will go. As I said, lots of smaller concepts. No one really, I mean, a couple of companies working on tackling this, but no one really showed publicly great progress there.
Okay, so what is your plan? Your next steps? What do you have to do?
So the core.
I mean, when I surf through your shop, then it's like an endless list of things.
Yeah, right.
And after
that's
page 32, I'm a little bit tired, I must say, when I'm looking for a new suit or something. Yeah, absolutely.
That's quite stamina to go for page 32. No, but that's one of the core problems, to really figure out understand your taste, understand your intent in this very moment, and then tailoring what we have perfectly to this intent and to your taste. For you, it can be very different if you buy something for a wedding or for work. Or for, I don't know, for a party. That's very, very different. Understanding this intent and then combine it with your taste, combine it with how we might to nudge your taste a bit, make it a little bit more fashionable, get out more money out of your pocket, basically. And then on the other hand, remaking sure what we show you, and it's not just products, there's also content around that, inspirational bits and pieces, make this truly relevant for this. And in the end, you could go to a shop as ours is north of 100,000 products at any given minute. There's huge demand of our partners on the brand side to reopen the floodgates and put millions of products on this platform.
Oh my God.
It means the pressure to make sure that we actually only show you maybe 100 things, maybe 50, maybe 20, but these 20 pieces really need to put you in a situation where you think, this is great, and you don't have the feeling of missing out on something. So and that's the core, let's say, the core challenge we're working on under the hood. And then the second half of that, and it's always important, especially if you look, or if you know Zalando a little bit better, we are very, very diligent, very process-oriented, very, very meticulous people in the end. Making these things also look nice, look great and appealing, that's the second challenge. But also everyone else in the industry has to solve, I guess.
So you need like two things: more content in a way and more curation.
Yeah, that's basically true. Curation can be, of course, all sorts of on a continuum from very manual curation, what we do with Zalon, like individual stylists who work for customers and help them find their right outfit, to
You already did that.
Yeah, we're already doing this on the platform. And then on the other hand, you have like really truly completely based on data and based on information, artificial intelligence based recommendations, filters, sorting, whatever you can do with that.
And do you think it might be possible for a new fashion online store to like disrupt your business?
Sure.
Yeah?
Sure.
And
I mean, if you
there's so many startup people in the audience. Can you give them just
a hint on how
what
to
do to disrupt Zalando?
Yeah. Get a team of 50 really great data scientists and build the best intent and artificial intelligence layer for fashion. Then that would fit, I guess. Or if you succeed with that, then you would get a big applause from me.
Do you think?
But in the end, if you don't believe, and that's I guess true for at every level, and I assume it's true for both of you as well. If you don't believe that you can be disrupted every day, then you start to be complacent, and then it'll happen.
Okay.
That's a little bit. It's weird. When you start to think it can't happen, it will happen for sure.
It's almost a curse for you as a market segment leader. If the company have a sense like, yeah, you're really good at this.
Yeah.
It's a really big challenge because you need them to be on their toes, because exactly as you say, it can happen like that quickly that things change. Totally agree.
So when you go to Zalando in the morning, do you sometimes think, okay, that was really good, this is a good job, and it's a cool company, but tomorrow I start my own fashion startup and disrupt Zalando and have more fun and have a small team and the energy comes back and everything is like...
I mean, the good thing is if you're, I mean, it's very personal. If you're at the top, then the energy stays like that, and then you have all the great opportunities. You know, I believe the thing is, we're operating at a scale, and the challenge is at a scale where you need, or where having a big team really helps. I assume if I would want to leave now, I would go for something else. Not compete with a team I know, which is pretty good. I would go for something else, I guess.
Okay, Alexander, which will be the next Airbnb? When will you be disrupted by a new idea?
Sorry,
in terms of which company will be the next Airbnb?
The next Airbnb.
When will you be disrupted?
Hopefully it will be Airbnb 2.0. So build outside their own Airbnb. So as I mentioned earlier, we're constantly striving to innovate and to make the experience for our hosts and guests better. And so think that we're working on, from the beginning, is the experience part. And I think also what I heard from Philipp around curating content. So what we launched just a couple of weeks ago is the revamped app that is matching experiences. So if you're typically looking for something different than I would probably. And so you don't want to see my search result, I don't want to see your search result, rather than really what I'm looking for. And what we're trying to do is matching these experience that you're looking for to your list of results that you get. And that's, we think that this is the next chapter of experience in traveling in an authentic way, and the way you want to experience it, because probably you're looking for a skiing resort and I'm looking for a water resort, and you're looking for someone to meet and I'm looking for someone who's just handing over keys and I want my freedom. So that's one part of it, and really we're tying all the teams into that direction of making that experience better and better. We launched a campaign just lately, which is around living there. So living there, not just going there, and not just ticking a box of sites that you want to see. We fundamentally believe that mass tourism is kind of broken because it's too transactional, and we want to have people really immersing themselves into what it is to live there rather than just stay there or just ticking off the box. And that's basically the same pattern. It's experience, but innovating around experience.
So you just said that you need more content too. I spent a couple of months in the US, and everybody was talking about content. This seems to be the next big thing or something, that websites depend more on extra content to get the people there. Is it the same with Airbnb?
Well, I think it's been there for a long time, content, the debate around content. For Airbnb, it's both. It's obviously supply, so people signing up to Airbnb and saying, oh, I'm not just a traveler, rather than I want to really rent out my home. That's one piece of it, and we have a very strong organic growth. Basically, the strongest lever is organic growth, so word of mouth. And secondly, there's a lot of host-curated content, which we call guest books or guidebooks, where you have a neighborhood guide. You're traveling to a specific destination, let's say San Francisco, and you can go district by district and have a guidebook that tells you what's the best you can visit, rather than have the red London double-decker and ticking off that box. So that's curated content on our site as well.
Okay. Can you say how many people just surf Airbnb and how much of them actually book something?
I don't have that figure on top of my
Can't
head.
say that?
No. No, I don't have that figure, no.
No figures?
No.
Interesting. Okay, Christian, what do you think need more guts? Start a new startup from the scratch, or work on an established company to stay ahead of the rest?
I think both of them need a lot of stamina. One of the hardest things is, this is for me the first time I work in a German company. So I think one of the hardest things I learned in the last 1.5 years is how difficult it is to change a culture, especially when there's a root of how people think and work and what they're used to. And Scout has been for a long time under the cover of a large German company, so very German. So I think the first one that makes it hard in a large company is to unlearn something. For those of you who do some sports, I mean, unlearning something in tennis or skiing is harder than to learn new. So I think that's difficult. It takes a lot of stamina as well, similar to when you build something. What is comforting in a larger companies, we have a business model. Those are public numbers. We basically have a 50% EBITDA margin. So it's a super profitable business model. So there's money to invest. You can drive employee growth. You have developments. All that's great. So that fear isn't there. What if we fail? But as we said earlier, there's a big risk. There's like, hey, life's good. What do you want? Don't push me harder. It's okay. And then very quickly become a couch potato. And you say, hey, there's a little bit of flap here. I'm not a good marathon runner anymore. So I think both of them have their own challenges. To some extent, what is almost like hilarious, if you think of a company that has 1,700 or 1,200 people now, or Zalando larger, you bring the entrepreneurial spirit back in because you're so concerned that you might lose that. And I think that shows that even today, if you work in a in a company like a Scout or Airbnb, you need to have and you need to feel and work and act like an owner. That will get you a career opportunity in those open companies. So to some extent, it should not be radically different, but of course it is from where is the foundation? Do we have something that can actually win, or do you have a business that already is established? But as Philipp said as well, and we all know, disruption happens before you know it, and you need to be vigilant.
Okay, so I'm editor-in-chief of Gründerszene, and therefore I need some news from you. So I want to ask, what are the next big steps in your company?
Basically, the same, what I mentioned is experiences, and we just announced that we are upgrading the experience by matching. We're definitely progressing with regards to where could we explore new ways to even make the experience more convenient on both sides, hosts and guests, but that will take a bit longer now.
It's all about data. That sounds very bland, but Basically, Scout is about life stage changes. People move properties because something changes in their life. They change location, they change jobs, bigger house, smaller apartment, whatever. In my case, kids are out of the house. That life stage change often comes together with mobility changes. You know, I go from the minivan to a two-seater convertible or something. So data really helps us to follow that journey of the consumer and make sure that we give them solutions that really work well at that point in time. And I would say that's the biggest challenge for us, to make sure that's a fantastic experience and it will only work with very deep understanding of the consumer and the data they're giving us.
And at Zalando? Next big steps? I need news, you know?
News, yeah. I mean, the large, big next step that's in front of us is already widely communicated, so not that interesting, I guess, for you. Why it's still,
Come on.
It's still crazy. We're in the midst of changing the business model and opening up from the retailer to a platform where in the end the brands will sell their stuff. Very similar to the regular marketplaces as the other two here. Just more in a B2C model. That's going to be, there are some disruptive elements to that, but in total it's freeing us for the huge capital requirements a retail model has. I mean, there's billions of euro flooding into the assortment, and also the risk associated with that. It's just huge. We're really good at selling through stuff, but it's still in the 90s of percent. That's still meaning 50+ million euro per year. We're not able to sell, and it's a very, very good number for retail, but it's still horrible if you think about it from a risk perspective. Changing this will be a huge transformation for us, and on this journey we're both open up a lot on the brand side, giving brands and retailers in the end a more open access to reach and to the market. On the other hand, also open up on what we call the customer-facing side, building a platform where in the end you can build, it'll be the fashion sphere, where you can build something in the fashion sphere without having to build everything under the belly. And it's something, if you think about, I mean, if I look at how my team grew over the years, we usually had between 5 and 6 of 7 pieces, so 5 of 7 or 6 of 7 pieces, or the number of people working on stuff under the hood, making sure processes work, making sure all this stuff works. It's in the end something that can, of course, distinguish yourself. But if you build an e-commerce company, that's pretty much given. Amazon is 100% perfect in terms of processes. We are, and most of the others are as well. That's not that much a distinguishing factor anymore. It's a hygiene factor. And if you have to invest 80% of your capacity on a hygiene factor, that's not a good situation. What we'll do is invest or transform all the knowledge, all the assets we've built up there, into a platform where others can then focus on the 20% and invest all their capacity in making things really great, changing models, how customers interact with fashion, how the fashion industry looks from a customer perspective over the years. And that's I guess, from my point of view, the most interesting, most challenging part of this transformation.
Yeah, thank you. There are so many startup people in the audience, young startup people. What should they do right now? What is the next big thing? If you would start a startup tomorrow, what would you do?
I would actually build something that's truly digitalizing. If you think about all this Industry 4.0 stuff, that's outright stupid from a technical point of view, what's happening there. Very, very simple things. A paper-based list is transferred into some system where it's then stored in the database. It's dull. It's in a B2B space, but I believe there is huge opportunity if you just look at the German industry, like all those old Mittelstand players, they have to do this. And everything that's offered to them now, what's offered by the Salesforces, Microsofts, whatever big companies coming there, it just sucks. It's just jumping. It's not even jumping. It's a very, very tiny step. It's extremely expensive for them. It's extremely hard to adopt. If you find something in that sphere, that's going to be a really great opportunity to build something that's lasting, that has a huge impact, that's saving industry, or the old industry in our sphere here. That's where I would put my energy to.
What would you do?
So maybe a little bit of a different answer. I would not start with your head. I would start with your heart. because you're going to work your ass off for the next couple of years to get it rolling. And if you don't have the passion and the absolute dedication to whatever you do, I don't think you'll pull it through. Second, I would hope that most of us in this room, everybody, is doing something that has somewhat of a social impact. I think to some extent we need to watch out that the startup community is not just about making the next big billionaire, but also leaving an impact. That's just my personal perspective. So I think heart is important, impact is important. Look for the simple things you can fix, and then if the other two things are there, I think you can make it.
Great. So I think there are two components. One is cost cutting and kind of cost reduction, and the other one is demand. Where's a next pocket of demand? And obviously, what made Airbnb really strong is the community and the people that are connecting on that platform. And so, if you tap into that area, make sure we have had an early on advisor that told us make sure that you have 1,000 people that really love you instead of 1 million that kind of like you, and that is really kind of shaping the picture of what your platform should look like. And that's basically would be my advice if you're working with a community.
Okay, gentlemen, we just have 5 minutes left, so if there are any questions in the audience, go ahead. Is there somebody who has questions? Come on. At least one.
There we go.
There comes the mic.
Hello, my name is Ankur. I work in Berlin in a startup. My name is Ankur. I work in Berlin in a startup in a financial position. I would like to ask this question to Philipp from Zalando. Zalando relies extensively on Google or different like social platforms like Facebook for customer acquisition. Now that these platforms have been considering buy now buttons on their like Google Shopping or within the Facebook environment, what sort of impact will this have on Zalando, and what are you doing to counter it?
We believe that in the end it's quite interesting in terms of Facebook. For Google, it's still strategically not that clear where they want to go. I mean, they're more doing this as part of their shopping initiative, and that's a program that's very much thought with traditional retailers in the first place. So we're integrating with them. That's basically just another outlet for where we sell stuff. Very simple, also from a technical point of view to integrate, from a product point of view. From the experience point of view, it's maybe not that great from our perspective, but in the end, it caters to their search need. You just take part there in a very similar model to, I don't know, doing search engine advertising or any of the other models for them. That's very straightforward. It's becoming a lot more interesting if you think about Facebook, because their main idea is to, in the end, capture most of the time people spend online. It's a little bit different with Google. I want to just facilitate, in the end, people finding stuff. So what we're doing is, within Facebook, but these buy buttons are actually not that, they're very controversial. There's one guy who really doesn't like them. He wears gray t-shirts all the time. Nevertheless, so we are working very closely with Facebook on this, but it's a topic on how to integrate this in a way that these buy buttons are lovable for the consumer. That's an experience that's really great, that works at that point in time, where the customer is in the inspirational moment, seeing something their friends posted or seeing something a brand posted. And also discussing with them the commercial models behind that. But I feel confident to say that we're way ahead of them. Is in the end, at least for the European market, we are pushing them. It's not them moving faster than we do. We believe for us it's a great opportunity. Not so much as the retailer, but more in a platform play where we say, well, getting on top of platforms like this is difficult for brands. It's difficult also for retailers. Helping to facilitate that in a European market with all its diversities, especially payment methods and delivery options. That's something that's very local, assortment of course as well. That's a great opportunity for us. And basically, it's very different as it might look from the outside. It's us pushing them, moving forward with that, and it's very interesting.
Any more questions? Over there.
Thank you, Dustin here. One question, lately there's been sort of a trend to implement sort of messenger bots. Is any of the companies actually pursuing such a solution? And how do you assess such a, let's say, trend within the tech sphere? How do you assess such an opportunity within your companies? How do you figure out if you want to dig deeper into this direction, or how do you assess how to make resources available, etc.?
Good one, thank you.
Messenger.
Yeah,
So
messenger bots.
basically, the big part of the communication between guests and hosts are already on our platform. So there's a messaging function already in place, and only after the booking you'll get different opportunities to contact the host, for example. So this is a big part of our platform already. And it's crucial.
So for Scout, one of the biggest issues is that not all of the people that provide listings or offers on the platform always are as responsive as the consumer wants. So that could be one way to help, and basically jump in if there's no real answer coming back. You track this, okay, fine, I'm giving you an answer, can I help you? Until the real estate broker, the car dealer actually get engaged and drive something, and we can make sure that that transaction continues rather than stops because there's no active discussion going on.
We've built a bot with Facebook, and we're one of the launch partners of their the official messenger program on Facebook Messenger. It's been quite interesting. I mean, most of the work is actually going into the AI below it to make it relevant and make it also fun to use. To I guess the more interesting question, not so much the bots, but how do we deal with this stuff? We're spending, in the product group, spending lots of time, like whatever idea comes up, whatever someone reads, there's lots of reading, of course, involved in what's happening out there, and lots of talking. Also, the network with, especially the Valley companies, is very important there. And then putting these things on the table. That's more for being aware of what's happening there. If then in such a case, like venturing deeper into it is usually happening, and especially into things like messenger bots that are a little bit, let's say, interesting, but not truly relevant today. They might become, and we still have to see if it's the role. And what usually happens is that employees form a small team and get some extra time to work on this stuff. They pitch it, and then they just work on it, and we'll see what comes out of there. We've got a setup we call Slingshot, where people can invest time into these concepts, where we actually don't have a true idea yet, or a true vision yet on how this could fit in the overall perspective. Then we just start and have them work on it and see what comes out there. That's working quite well. It's not as, let's say, directive and managed as you could do it, I guess, but it's yielding lots of great results because you have people investing their own heart into coming up with a great solution. It's more a little bit like, I know people would, I guess, say entrepreneurship or whatever, but it's in the end dabbling around. That's how we do it.
Okay, we actually have time for one more question. One more. Over there.
Hi, thank you for the interesting talk. My question goes to Alexander. There are many Airbnb managing companies emerging at the moment. So what is your opinion on that, and does Airbnb support those companies?
Which kind of Airbnb competition, or
No.
companies building on top of Airbnb?
Companies which managing apartments and.
Okay. So basically, currently we're really focusing on our core of the business, and we're not kind of looking for ways to partner there. Obviously, there are thoughts around what are the key hurdles for a smooth handover key or whatever, but it's really, we're growing pretty strong, and so we're trying to just make the things right that are driving this growth in order to not blur the picture of and really focus on what's crucial in order to make the experience on host and guest side the best as possible. And so currently there's not so much ambition on building on top of the core experience.
Okay, so thank you very much. Thank you very much, gentlemen. It was a pleasure.
Thanks
Have
very
a
much.
good day
Thank
at
you.
the HEUREKA.
Thank you.
And
Thank
see
you.
you later. See you later. Have a good time.
Thank you.